Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Ivy English. I'm Bruce.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
I cannot believe how lucky you listeners are. On the 2nd of this month, we entertained and taught you. Yesterday, we entertained and taught you. And today again, we're going to entertain and teach you. But today, the topic is the mysterious origins of Italy's tasty pick-me-up.
好，那我们的中文标题是提拉米苏的身世之谜。好，因为 origins 就是来源，好，所以我们谈的是很神秘的 mysterious。这个意大利他们这个很好吃的、很美味的 tasty 就是 good tasting 很好吃的提拉米苏，它的 origins 它的来源，也就是它的身世之谜。那这里呢，它用 pick me up， 我们等下文章就会告诉你为什么我们会用 pick me up 来表示、来代表这个提拉米苏。
Tiramisu is a simple Italian dessert enjoyed by many people around the world. It has 6 basic ingredients: ladyfinger biscuits, mascarpone, eggs, coffee, cocoa powder, and sugar. However, compared to its simple ingredients, it has a much debated origin. The origin of tiramisu has always been obscure. Some say that the dessert made its first appearance in the 1700s in Siena, where it was served to a Grand Duke. Others say it was invented sometime in the late 1800s in Treviso. Still others claim it debuted in the 19th century in Florence as an exclusive dessert for the intellectual and artistic elite. Regarding the dessert's modern revival, there are 2 potential inventors. Some credit Speranza Garatti as the creator. In the 1960s, she made a version of the dessert, which she called Coppa Imperiale. Others credit her friend Otto Campeol, also known as the father of tiramisu by the Italian press. He used her version as inspiration for his own and sold it in his restaurant in Treviso. He renamed it tiramisu, meaning pick me up or cheer me up in Italian, since he hoped to cheer his customers up. For a while, it seemed that Treviso was the dessert's birthplace. All that changed when a handwritten recipe for tiramisu, dating back to 1959, was found in the Friuli region of Italy. The author was a chef named Norma Pieli, who had served it to guests at a hotel. In 2017, the government of Italy declared tiramisu a traditional regional product of Friuli, much to the outrage of proud Treviso residents. Whether it is the original version or even a vegan adaptation, tiramisu has become a world-famous sweet. Though we might not know for sure where tiramisu came from, we can still enjoy it as a delicious dessert.
Yes, we can enjoy it as a dessert and not care so much about how it's pronounced, because this is one of those words that has migrated into English from another language. And so the jury is still kind of out as to what the standard pronunciation is. Because we looked it up in the dictionary, and the dictionary says that it should be pronounced tiramisu. I grew up with all the people around me calling it tiramisu, and then you've actually pronounced it like 3 different ways in this article. I'm going to say they're all accurate because it's a loan word. We don't really have a way to pronounce this word. Also, no one is going to misunderstand you because it's such a unique word. So I'm just going to say it the way I grew up saying it, which is tiramisu, which sounds wrong now. Tiramisu is a simple Italian dessert enjoyed by many people around the world. And I'm going to just countersign this statement because honestly, when I went to Italy when I was in college, I made a point of I made a point of going to a restaurant every day at lunch because lunch is cheaper than dinner. And if they had tiramisu, I would order it. And every single tiramisu I've had anywhere in the world has always been different. I've never really had two tiramisus the same. So the dessert, just like the pronunciation, is endlessly flexible, but it still is always good. I've never had a bad tiramisu anywhere.
好，所以首先呢，我们讲到这个tiramisu 它的这个发音啊，那中文当然没问题啊，提拉米苏。那但是在英文里面呢至少有两种念法哈，一个是重音放在第二个音节啊 tiramisu， 那另外一个是 tiramisu 啊，那好像是 tiramisu 这个发音比较常见哈。那他说这句话讲到说提拉米苏它是一个很简单的 Italian dessert， 一个意大利的甜点。那后面呢 enjoyed by 就是 which is 省略掉了 which is enjoyed by， 它受到很多人的让很多人享用啊，是怎么样？这些人是全世界的人啊，很多人都在喜欢啊这样这个甜点。那另外这个 Angela 讲说，他其实他也去过在意大利吃过这个提拉米苏，那他说他其实提拉米苏各地的提拉米苏那个味道口味都不太一样啊，都很好吃，那好像跟他的发音一样，这个味道口味做法都多多少少有点不同。
The tiramisu has 6 basic ingredients. Ingredients are the foods we use to create a dish. Ladyfinger biscuits, I'm not sure what those are. They're long and
they're
thin.
long, dry, spongy cookies that are absolutely useless and not even that delicious until you put them in tiramisu.
Okay. Mascarpone is a kind of cream cheese. That's
very light and airy.
Light, airy, white. It looks like curdled milk, actually.
No, it's much more fine. It looks kind of like whipped cream. It's somewhere between curdled milk and whipped cream in texture.
Alrighty. Eggs, we know. Coffee, we know. Cocoa powder is related to chocolate. And sugar, of course, to make it a dessert.
好，所以呢，它有6个基本的这个 ingredients 就是成分。第一个是这个 ladyfinger biscuits， 就是手指饼干啊，它形状像手指一样啊。那接下来呢 mascarpone， 那这是这个马斯卡彭这种乳酪。然后呢，还有鸡蛋，还有咖啡，还有可可粉，还有糖。
However, compared to its simple ingredients, it has a much debated origin. I love that our author called the ingredients simple, because they're not. I mean, eggs, yes, coffee, cocoa powder, okay, sugar, sure. Mascarpone and ladyfinger biscuits, not simple. But compared to its origin, yep, these seem simple. So it's kind of emphasizing how complicated the origin story for this cake is.
好，所以 compared to 就是和什么相比，和什么相比呢？和它这个所谓的简单的这些成分。那其实这些成分并不是那么简单啊，但是呢，跟它的这个origin 比起来，那真的简单多了。所以呢，这个句子这样写就特别又强调了它是多么的关于它的起源是多么的众说纷纭。好，所以呢，和它的这个简单的成分相比呢，那这个提拉米苏它有一个是 much debated， 就是受到很多争论的，也就是众说纷纭的啊。因为 debate 常常意思就是怎么样，就是谁也没办法赢谁啊，所以就我们可以判成众说纷纭的那这个origin 它的起源。那不知道读者们有没有注意到，我们的 title 里面它是讲 the mysterious origins 啊，它是复数的啊 of 这个 pick me up。但在这里呢，我们说 it has a much debated origin 是单数的。那这个单为什么标题里面用复数，这里用单数呢？那这个其实是因为 origins 它如果是复数的话，它其实指的是那个 concept 就起源这个概念。好，所以它的这个概念是非常的 mysterious。但是呢，它真正的一个起源，那是真正那个起源它是一个的啊，所以它这个地方它讲 it has a much debated origin， 就是指它的那个起源，真正那个起源啊是受到很多争论。但是前面title 里面那个 origins 它指的是它这个概念，就是它的来自哪里这样的一个概念。那通常我们是用 origins 来表示。
The origin, here we go again. This means we're now talking about one particular one, and that is of tiramisu, has always been obscure. Obscure means not clear, and that's why it is much debated.
好，那所以呢，提拉米苏它的 origin has always been 一直是 obscure 就是模糊不清所以大家都雾里看花，没有办法确定的知道它是从哪里来的。
Some say that the dessert made its first appearance in the 1700s in Siena. So to make your first appearance means to show up for the first time. And so in this case, it showed up when it was served to, when it was given to a Grand Duke for dessert.
那 some 就是 some people 有一些人 say that 他们说呢，这个甜点的 dessert 就是指提拉米苏 made its first appearance 就是首度出现那你也可以用直接用动词说 the dessert first appeared 也可以那在这里呢，他把它念成把它写成 made its first appearance。那通常你要选择 first appeared 或者是 made its first appearance， 通常跟你句子的节奏有关所以这是作者个人的选择，他觉得在这里这样念听起来节奏比较顺好，所以它首度出现是在18世纪的时候，在 Siena 这个地方出现的。然后呢 where 就是指在这个 Siena 这个地方呢 it was served 就是这个甜点被 served， it was served to 就是它被拿来侍奉或者拿来给谁吃，叫做 it was served to。 它拿来给谁吃呢？给一个 Grand Duke 这个一个大公爵给他吃。
Others say some people have a different idea of the origin of tiramisu. Others say it was invented sometime in the late 1800s in Treviso, not Siena, but a different Italian town, Treviso, and maybe 100 years later. Now, sometime in the late 1800s, we don't know which time. It's about that time. It does not mean a specific time.
好，所以这个 sometime 就是某一个时间，我们不确定知道什么时候，但是某一个时间。所以呢 others say 那其他的人说呢 it was invented 就是提拉米苏被发明是在某一个时间是 in the late 就是在晚期，在19世纪末的某一个时间点它被发明了。在哪里被发明呢？在这个 Treviso 这个地方被发明了。
Still others claim it debuted in the 19th century in Florence. So if something debuted, it looks like debuted, but this is because it started off as a French word, and they like to sort of put a bunch of extra letters in. So we say debuted. But don't forget the d on the end. That's necessary. So they claim it debuted in the 19th century in Florence as an exclusive dessert. It's exclusive means only these people could have it. Only who could have it? The intellectual and artistic elite, the top thinkers and artists. Whatever. I want to point out something to you, though. We just did a sequence in here. We said some say, others say, and still others claim. So if you want to say that there's 3 or more points of view, this is a very good way to efficiently get that across.
好，所以呢，这个我们可以先介绍刚刚那主要讲最后这一点就是当你有不同的人有不同的说法的时候，有一种很好的这个表述的方法，就是你可以说 some say that 就表示有一些人不特定的有一些人这么说。然后呢，第二点接下来呢，你可以说 others say 那另外有一些人这样说，都是不特定的。然后呢，还有第三种说法，这个时候你就可以说 still others。 那这个地方你还是可以用 say， 但是最好因为第三个了，所以你最好换一个动词。例如你可以讲 still others claim 怎样怎样怎样所以 some say that 如何如何如何，然后呢，另外一些人是 others say 如何如何如何，那还有一些其他的人 still others claim 如何如何如何所以记住这个结构这个写作文的时候很好用。那另外我们回来看这个句子，他说另外还有一些人呢 claim 就是宣称，所谓的 claim 就是他不一定有证据但是呢他宣称是这样子。他说 it debuted 那这个字的发音要注意，那个 t 是不发音的所以 debut 然后那个的这过去式 debuted。 那所谓的 debut 就是 make its first appearance 就我们第一次 some say 那个句子里面 made its first appearance， 所以这里换一个字debuted。 所以还有一些其他的人呢宣称提拉米苏首次亮相是什么时候呢？是在19世纪那是在 Florence 这个地方。那 as 就是他当时亮相的时候他的身份或者他用来做什么呢？它是一个 exclusive dessert。 exclusive 就是排外的或者独家的或者独享的，别人都没有啊，就只有他有。那 dessert 是一个独享的一种甜点，对谁来讲是独享的甜点呢？ The intellectual 就是知识分子啊，或者是另外还有 artistic elite， 在艺术方面是精英人士，所以当时呢只有知识分子跟艺术方面的精英人士能够独享这个提拉米苏。
All right, third paragraph. Regarding the dessert's modern revival, there are two potential inventors. We discussed the 1700s, the 1800s, but people also have different opinions about, well, what about now? What about a modern revival? The dessert has become very popular in this century, in the last century, in the 1900s, but who made it? Those are the potential or possible inventors or creators of a modern form of tiramisu.
好，所以 revival 是重生啊，那这里可以说是复兴，所以也许呢，它这个提拉米苏出现之后呢，有一段时间啊就没有那么的流行，可是呢，后来又再度流行起来，尤其在现代又流行起来了。所以他这里讲到说，关于它这个甜点，它在现代的重新的复兴或者重新的再流行呢，他说有两个 potential， 就是有可能的 inventors 啊，有可能的两个发明者，让它在现代能够重新的 revival。
Now, some credit Speranza Garratti as the creator.
好，那 credit 就是认为某人是什么什么，好，或者是把它归功于谁，所以有的人呢，把这个人呢认为啊归功于他，认为他是 the creator， 是这个近代的这个提拉米苏的这个创造者。
And why is that? Well, in the 1960s, she made a version of the dessert, one way of doing the dessert, which she called Coppa Imperiale, the imperial cup. Not sure of my translation, but royal. She said it was royal.
好，所以在1960年代呢，他做了一个版本的这个甜点，也就是他做了一种版本的提拉米苏哈，然后呢，那他称他这个版本啊，称为这个啊，那因为这 imperiale 大概跟 imperial 有关，所以他好像是皇家的什么Coppa 这样子。
Other people have a different opinion. Others credit her friend Otto Campiol. To credit someone means to praise someone for doing something, usually the first person to do it. Also known as Mr. Campiol, also known as the father of tiramisu, at least by the Italian press. So if you read newspapers or magazines, they may say that he is the one who came up with the modern version of the dessert. He used her version as inspiration for his own. So he based his dessert on Miss Garatti's version or style of tiramisu, and he sold it in his restaurant in Treviso. Now, these are friends, so they can easily influence each other and praise each other for coming up with these delicious desserts.
好，那其他的人呢，认为是他的朋友啊，这个Otto 啊，这个Campello 这个字，这个朋友哈，那这个人呢 ，also known as 他被称为 the father of tiramisu 啊，被称为提拉米苏之父，是由这个意大利的媒体都认为他是提拉米苏之父。好，那他的这个朋友呢，使用他的这个Garatti 他的 version 他的那个版本呢，作为一个 inspiration， 作为一个灵感啊。然后呢 ，for his own， 那 his own 其实就 his own version， 所以他的那个版本呢，简单的说，就是他的版本是以这个Miss Garatti 的版本啊作为灵感啊，然后呢，他就在这个 Treviso 这个地方的餐厅开始卖他所做的这个版本。
So basically, her friend stole her idea and used it at his restaurant.
They were friends.
They were friends, but he took her idea and got credit for it. So he renamed it tiramisu, which is probably more, consumer-friendly, more marketable than the imperial cup. And because it meant pick me up or cheer me up in Italian. Since he hoped to cheer his customers up And considering that the dessert is made of coffee and alcohol and eggs and cream, there isn't anything about
sugar.
that. And sugar. There's nothing about that won't pick you up. So yeah, it was a better name, but he still stole it from his friend.
Yeah, cheer up 就是鼓舞，让某人开心，所以他呢 renamed， 他重新命名这个甜点叫做 tiramisu， 那意思是 pick me up， 就是带我走，或者是 cheer me up， 或者这个鼓舞我，让我快乐。那在意大利文它的意思是这样子，那为什么呢？因为他希望能够 he hoped to cheer his customers up， 他希望能够让他的顾客能够开心，希望能鼓舞他的顾客。
For a while, for some time, it seemed that Treviso was the dessert's birthplace. That was where Mr. Campiol had his restaurant, and it became very popular and well known. So many people thought, oh, this is where this dessert got started.
好，所以 for a while 有一段时间呢 ，it seemed that 看起来似乎这 Treviso 这个地方呢，就是这个甜点的 birthplace， 它的出生地或者它的发源地。
However, all of that changed. This whole fight became irrelevant when a handwritten recipe for tiramisu dating back to 1959, much earlier than this fight, was found in the Friuli region of Italy. So somewhere else was a handwritten recipe for tiramisu.
好，所以 all that changed， 这一切以上讲的这些通通改变了。当一个手写的 handwritten recipe， 一个手写的配方用来做提拉米苏的配方，然后呢，这个手写的配方是 dating back to， 它可以追溯到1959年，所以比上面讲的两个人都早啊。那它这个配方被发现了，在这个Friuli 这个地区被发现到了。
The author of the handwritten recipe was a chef, an excellent cook named Norma Pielli, who had served it to guests at a hotel. So now we have another possible originator of this dessert.
好，然后呢，这个 recipe 这个配方它的这个食谱了它的作者呢是一个厨师那他呢就把这个甜点做出来，那就是给他旅馆在一个旅馆里面的给一个旅馆里面的这个客人来享用。
So then the government threw their hat into the ring for this fight and declared in 2017, they declared tiramisu a traditional regional product of Friuli, much to the outrage of proud Treviso residents. They were like, what? No way those imposters in Friuli have our dessert. And why is the government even sticking their nose into this? Dun, dun, dun.
好，所以在2017年呢，这个意大利政府呢，他宣布tiramisu 是一个传统的地区的一个产品是Friuli 这个地方的这个传统点心所以呢 much to the outrage 所以 to the outrage of 这种句型呢，我想大家比较熟悉，就是 to my surprise 一样的结构，那个 to 就是同样的意思，所以 to the outrage of 就是引起了这个这些人他们的 outrage 是这种愤怒通常是因为受到这个不当的对待而感到愤愤不平那叫 outrage。那是谁很感到 outrage 呢？是这些很骄傲的这个 Treviso 这些的 residents， 因为这些居民一直认为我们是提拉米苏的发源地，结果现在怎么变成别人的了？他们就觉得受到了这个欺负，他们就愤愤不平。
Okay, let's look at our concluding paragraph now.Whether it is the original version or even a vegan adaptation, that would be one that did not use any animal products, tiramisu has become a world-famous sweet. Now, here sweet means dessert, and it's used as a noun, not an adjective.
好，那不管是它这个原本的那个版本或者甚至是一个 vegan， 就是吃全素的一种 adaptation， 就是改良版那不管怎么样 tiramisu 已经变成了一个世界知名的 sweet， 就是甜点或者甜食。
Though we may not know for sure where tiramisu came from, we cannot care. We can still enjoy it as a delicious dessert. It's all good.
所以虽然我们没有办法确定 提拉米苏到底哪里来的，但是呢，我们还是可以享用这个甜点把它当做一种 delicious dessert， 一个美味的甜点来享用。
Okay, that finishes our article, but we have a few questions here for you. The first is, which of the following statements is true about tiramisu?
下列关于提拉米苏的叙述何者正确？
The answer is D. Various modern versions have been developed.
答案是 D， 许多现在的版本已经被开发出来了。
So number 2, you basically have to write the right word in based on the paragraph. So I'll read the completed sentence to you. Ado Campeol was inspired by Speranza Garati and created his own version of tiramisu. The word is inspired.
好，这是108课纲的混合题型。好，所以这一题呢，它是要你从文章的第3段里面选出一个字，好，来填入底下这个句子的空格。而且你要视语法的需要，要做适当的字形变化，让这个句子的意思语义完整，而且语法正确，而且符合第3段的文意。好，所以呢，我们看到这一个句子，最后我们讲，答案应该是 inspired， 就他呢受到了谁的启发，受到这个 Miss Garati 的启发，然后呢就做出了他自己的那个版本的提拉米苏。
Question number 3. What does it in the third paragraph refer to?
好，那他问你第3段的这个 it 指的是什么呢？
And the answer is Coppa Imperiale.
这正确答案就是刚刚 Bruce 老师念的那一个。
And number 4, fill in the blanks with the information contained in the passage about the different origins of tiramisu. So we have year, creator, and place. So the first one we have is the year is 1700s. We don't have a named creator, but the place is Siena. And then we have 1800s, and again, no named creator, and the place is Treviso. And then we have 19th century, again, no creator, and the place is Florence. Then we have 1959, and the creator is Norma Pielli, and the place is Friuli. Then we have 1960s, and we have Speranza Garati, and the place is not known. But then we have Ado Campeol, and the place is Treviso.
好，所以这一题呢，是要我们在空格当中填入本文所包含的关于提拉米苏不同起源的一些资讯。好，所以第一个空格我们要填的是 Siena， 那第2个空格我们要填的是 Florence， 第3个空格我们要填的是 Norma Pielli。 好，那第4个空格呢，我们要填的是1960。
All right, that's it for today's lesson. Again, hope you enjoyed it and learned something with us. We learned something too. Until the next time, bye-bye.